Hello and welcome to the Nerditorium. My name is Dinkar.
I'm Jishnu.
This is Jishnu, and today we are talking about the Infinity War sequel, which will most likely reset the Marvel Universe, and we're going to discuss how that comes about. So, first off, spoiler alert for this episode of the Nerditorium, we will be spoiling all of Infinity War, and we'll be tossing around a bunch of theories. So, if you don't want to know, keep watching anyway, because why would you not? We're very entertaining. So, Jishnu, tell me your thoughts on Infinity War.
It was amazing.
You loved it.
It was beautiful.
Okay.
I saw it 3 times. I almost cried every time. But that's because I'm dead inside, so I didn't cry.
We cry more at Marvel movies than we do at real life.
Very true.
They do get you.
The ending, though, everybody's talking about the ending. The ending was amazing. I think the ending hit other people more than it hit me. I thought it was great. I thought it was beautiful. But the moments that I still keep coming back to are little things like Red Skull's
the smaller
yeah, because it showed that there is real
surprising,
payoff.
yes.
It was the best surprise. I think it's also because we'd done the 36-hour Geek Fruit marathon where we watched all MCU movies in 36 hours, and I saw Captain America.
Remembered who Red Skull was.
Yeah, it was like we were like fresh in my head. And I remember when we saw Captain America, the first Avenger, since we obviously now know this is pre-Infinity War, we knew about the Tesseract, we knew what it did, we knew it was a space moving thingy.
Yeah.
And the fact that when he weaponized the Tesseract, people were just turning blue and disappearing. We're like, wait a minute, that's not dead. That is just transit. They're just in transit somewhere. So where did Red Skull go? So I was really glad that it tied in all together.
So that brings us to the interesting point of where did the people who disappeared at the end of Infinity War go?
Yeah.
Also, tell me, did the ending not hit you as hard because it's obviously there's going to be a cop-out in the sequel where they kind of retcon the end and say this is how these guys are going to come back?
Sure, a little bit, but I think it's also because I was going into it expecting something like a cliffhanger as egregious as The Force Awakens. Because
but this was way bigger.
Oh, it was way bigger. It was way bigger. But I mean, the thing is, I had a strong feeling that much like how Force Awakens ended in that total up in the air moment, I figured this would kind of do the same thing because we were always told it was going to be Thanos' film. We needed all the screen time we could to make this one villain finally feel like the real villain of all these 18 movies that they've done.
Yeah.
That the one guy that nobody can beat. And the way that the film was going, like 2 hours and 20 minutes in, I was like, okay, there's no way that they're going to pull a Hail Mary and like solve this.
And
they did for like a half second, like the Thor, piercing his chest was
one of the greatest moments of my life.
I believed it. I was like, holy crap, I could be totally wrong. But then when I was proven right, I was like, okay, it makes sense.
So how do they get out of it? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of Marvel movies after the Infinity War sequel?
So I'm really excited that I think it's going to probably alienate a lot of people. Much like how The Last Jedi has alienated people because it really questions everything you thought you knew about Star Wars.
Sure.
This is kind of going to do the same. Because
there were a lot for The Last Jedi. There was a lot of fan expectation and fan theories about how it would go, and I don't think anybody really predicted the direction it went in eventually.
Right.
It also reminds me of Sherlock. You remember that season where Sherlock dies at the end, and then there was about a year and a half's worth of speculation where fans were going like, will this happen or will this happen?
Right.
And when they came back, they essentially trolled all the fans by putting in all the theories.
It was
and going
great.
like, yeah, sure, this happened and this happened. And they never really explained how he came back.
Pretty much.
They just said it could have been any of these ways.
Yeah.
What does it matter? Let's move on with the story.
Yeah. So I'm excited that it's finally starting to really feel like comic book movies. In that you need to do your homework getting into it. Because much like reading a comic book, you never know where to begin. I mean, you could start at the very first issue of the very first thing, which is like 100 years old for some characters like Batman and Supes and all those people. You could do that, but most people will just dive in somewhere in the timeline and then figure it out as you go, which is kind of how it is now. Like if you had never seen an MCU movie before and you went to Infinity War, you would still, I'm pretty sure you'd like that movie because it's a great movie.
And I think you can still understand. Yes, that's a lot of, you might miss a lot of the nuance.
Exactly.
But you will still get the gist of it and it will still be interesting. Like if you start reading any series right now, unless you start, in fact, most issues that also, most volumes that start with an issue 1 still pick up threads that were covered in previous volumes.
Right.
So, I mean, you start reading any series, you're always in media res.
Pretty much.
And that's where we are in the MCU.
I like that they finally earned the ability to do that. Because previously when they tried to make comic book films in like the 90s and early 2000s, they were pretty hit or miss because, they would introduce these, outrageous characters, outrageous plots, outrageous universe tropes and things, which the comic fans knew, but the general audience didn't know where it was coming from. And so, some of them hit and some of them missed. But now that they've got 18 movies that have built on this, you can do things like do a random throwback to Thor, The Dark World, and it'll make sense. Like if you just like name drop Malekith out of nowhere, some fans will be like, why are we talking about Malekith? Because he sucked. But it makes sense because he was a part of his story. And you don't need to like deep dive into it. You can just assume that the people know what you're talking about. And that's very freeing as a writer, I think, to like just be able to just
say, you guys know this already.
Yeah.
I think what the MCU also does really well is they keep this balance between what you need to know and the fact that you could still take away the essence of the movie without knowing those little things.
Yeah.
But speaking of how the MCU is becoming more and more like actual comic books, what will almost definitely happen going forward is principal characters being recast essentially. So we will have most likely a new Captain America, possibly a new Iron Man, because I don't see Robert Downey Jr. continuing this anymore.
Yeah.
So what are your, who do you think will go first of all? They're definitely going to keep Spider-Man because that boy's a young gun.
Yeah.
They're going to keep Black Panther because he's new. But other than that, it's kind of open game, isn't it?
Pretty much.
I feel like they want to keep Chris Hemsworth because that boy is like really coming into his own now.
Yeah.
He's killing it.
Yeah. If I were a betting man, I would say both Cap and Stark are gonna leave in some capacity. I'm not saying they're gonna like kick the bucket, but I think they're gonna leave. And
do you think they will be at the edge of a cliff in a deathlock and then both fall off? Because that's how Sherlock Holmes died in the books. And
I thought you were gonna say somebody's gonna like bring a shield and just like present it to Cap, and he's gonna be like throw it like a frisbee. I don't know. That'd be fun.
Right.
But I think it's gonna be something to the effect of we're gonna peace out and then just leave it nice and up in the air. Like that's it. Like they don't need to kill them per se.
Right.
In order for them to just be like, look, like Cap went rogue, right? He took Falcon and Widow and all the guys with him and said we're just gonna go AWOL, and they can continue to do that because there's precedent for that.
Right.
It makes sense. After this entire debacle, it's definitely going to go tits up for like superheroes in general. And they're like, I'm old, I'm tired, screw it. Like you guys are pretty good on your own. Like enjoy.
Traditionally speaking, Sam Wilson takes over as Captain America.
Yeah, so does Bucky.
So does Bucky at one point.
Yeah.
Yes. I believe in the current run, Sam Wilson and Captain America are both in existence. So there's a Sam Wilson Captain America and there's a Captain America.
Sure.
Iron Man is still Tony Stark, but there is a young lady called Iron Heart who hangs around. So she just Riri, yes.
Yeah, Riri Williams. Yeah.
She called herself Iron Heart eventually.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Riri Williams is a great name.
I'm down.
Yeah, she literally walked around for a bunch of issues going like, I haven't come up with a name yet, and now she goes by Iron Heart. So who could possibly take over for Robert Downey Jr.? I can see them. I can see Sam Wilson because Bucky also has been around for a long time. Sam Wilson becoming Captain America makes sense to me, but I don't see them redoing I don't see them redoing Iron Man. I feel like they'll say Tony Stark was Iron Man. No, we're done. There won't be an Iron Man going forward.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're not going to see a new Iron Man immediately, but I feel like we're going to see a lot of the tech. We're going to see them still using a lot of the stuff that he's built, because I feel like if he says I'm going to take a break, like he's a smart enough guy to know like he's worth a lot more than just himself. Like he's built so many things.
Oh wait, do you think they'll give him a happy ending? He'll take a break? You mean he'll retire? I thought he was going to die.
Why not? I mean, because the last movie was so grim as all hell. Like, give us something.
Oh, I
think people will die. I think we will like see the end of some people.
Right.
But I feel like the ending still could be open.
I feel like you've hit the nail on the head though. I think it's very likely that Captain America will die and Tony Stark will retire to go, because Tony Stark has a family to go back to, right? And he has like friends and a life and a mansion and stuff.
The best
Captain
thing
America
Cap has is Sharon Carter. That's the best thing he's got. And she wasn't even in the last movie.
Exactly.
So.
She's gonna retire and do what exactly?
Tony?
No, Cap.
I'm not saying he's gonna retire. I think he's gonna die.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna do anything. He's gonna be dead. That's what he's
gonna retire from life is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So, assuming Captain America is retired and Tony Stark is retired also, one of them being retired from life, how will this reset the universe as we know it? Will they start a new arc? So basically, they spent 10 years building up to essentially one arc because the Infinity Stones were introduced way back.
Right.
What do you think will happen going forward?
I
They're going to
think
shut
it's
it down
gonna
and
be-
start building up another arc.
I'd put money on it's going to be more intergalactic trouble. It's going to be dealing with the Kree. I think there's a lot riding on Captain Marvel.
Right.
Because Captain Marvel is going to reintroduce us to people like Ronan and the origin story or vaguely enough, some sort of origin story for Nick Fury and my boy Coulson.
Yeah.
And so, if you consider what Phase 2 started with Guardians
Right.
and
Where they
Ronan being in
introduced the
Guardians,
cosmic Marvel.
introducing the cosmic world.
Yeah.
Now with Ant-Man and Strange dealing with quantum realmy, timey-wimey things, and Captain Marvel leading the Force going into space, then I think now the stone stuff is gonna close out, and we're just gonna be like, okay, now it's Earth versus
The stone stuff
these
is
other
definitely
guys.
going to close out. Yeah, I think you might be right there. They might bring in a lot more of the space situation.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more alien, and it's gonna be a lot more like fighting on other planets.
Yeah,
and
because
stuff
Captain
like that.
Marvel's entire deal, and she's
Yeah.
clearly going to be a leading force going forward.
Yeah.
Because Brie Larson
Yeah.
will be terrific, I'm sure.
And also, Guardians 2 ended with the prospect of more Guardians being added to the roster,
True.
which would put them, like if Gamora comes back, it's going to put them at like as many as 8, 9, or 10 Guardians, which is a big crew of people. I mean, I'm not saying they're all going to like work together constantly, but that's a lot of people in one movie or one mini franchise within the whole thing that are purely space dudes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I feel like there's a lot of characters who are space driven as opposed to Terran.
That's true. The Guardians and Captain Marvel both pretty much live in space.
Yeah, and we don't even know what else Marvel will introduce. Like who other people are gonna
Yeah,
show
they
up,
haven't
you know?
announced anything yet because they're trying to be tight-lipped about what will happen. What I'd like to see is a balance between space stuff. So I'd like to see them go big and universal, but also keep the sort of smaller
And that's where
locality and
Spidey-
city. Yeah, exactly.
Spidey's gonna hold
Spider-Man
that
is going
ground.
in that direction,
Yeah.
and I'd like them to keep it in that vibe. So Spider-Man will obviously play a big role in whatever next tentpole thing Marvel does, whatever the arc is.
Sure.
But for his solo movies, at least, I'd like to see him just hang around, being your friendly neighborhood Spidey.
I think he will.
I think he will too.
Cool.
All right. Well, this has been the Nerditorium. Tell us your thoughts on where you think the Marvel Universe would go. In fact, we didn't even get into like discussing major comic book arcs, which is there are many. Because I
Yeah.
mean, the Infinity Stones is from ages ago. There's like Secret Wars that they could do. They could do the whole Hail Hydra business that is happening right now. Secret Empire.
I don't think that's
I
gonna
hope they don't. That would be ridiculous. It's bad enough in the comics right now. So yeah, tell us what you'd like to see or what you think
They've
will
done that
happen.
on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh no. Well, tell us what you'd like to see. This has been the Nerditorium.
They have. Bye.